friends. Welcome to the October energy forecast. This is going to be an interesting one. I actually was not even going to record this tonight, or I didn't even know when. Needless to say, today was a big day in terms of pieces that showed up for me personally. And it's actually been, overall, the energy has felt since the beginning of October, since Wednesday, really, it's just been a couple days, but the energy has felt a bit lighter than September. September was a month. And for so many of you that I spoke with, it was not an easy month. And I feel you on this because there was a lot that we were asked to move through and look at in September. I'm excited to give you the tools and the tips for October because it's a bit different than you might think, although you probably already are feeling the energy of October. And make sure that you stick around. I'm going to give you the themes that were shown to me by the Akashic Records for October, but stick around. I'm also going to give helpful practices. Oh, you can see Sal back there. I'm also going to provide helpful practices, daily practices for you to help work with the energy that's going to be showing up this month. And I'm also going to do a channeled card pull. And I'm also going to do a channeled card pull. So I'm going to pull a few cards just to help you continue to move and work with the energy that has already started to show up. The first theme that is going to be showing up this month is winds of change. When I tapped into this theme in the records, I was shown papers flying everywhere. And like a windy day where like papers are flying everywhere and almost this visual of someone trying to pick them all up really fast as they can and like keep them contained. But actually this is going to be the energy this month, is sort of this more scattered winds of change energy, scattered, windy, almost disorganized feeling. But that is because this month a lot is going to be swept up for you to be able to see what is no longer really in alignment or what is really working for you. So notice this month, the things that do get swept up, the things that do get brought up. And on the days, especially where you feel like it's really chaotic, the invitation, especially on those days, is going to be slow down, ground in, and see all the pieces that are showing up here. Are all of them necessary? Do all of them work? Are they all in alignment with me still? And that could be things to do with work. That could be relationships. That could be things showing up in a romantic partnership. That could be just how you're moving through your day and the things that you're allowing or the things you're not doing for yourself. So noticing what's getting swept up, and rather than trying to then put it back into a pile as neatly and quickly as you can you allow there to be some mess while you go through and organize some of the things that are scattered, that got blown up by the wind, right? Because the more intentional you can be in looking at those pieces, this is then going to help you flow more into the change that is occurring in your life. Okay, this is a big one. And I've been talking about this a little bit on some of the posts that I've been doing. This is going to be one not just for this month, but one we see through until the end of the year. And this has to do with karmic contracts ending. Okay, and you probably already started to feel this in September, certain things that would show up that are not working, romantic relationship, friendships, coworker dynamics, maybe even like family and friends. I already said friendships, but it's really important for you to be paying attention to the relationships in your life this month and next and December. Like this is going to be a theme that we see for the next few months. And this is part of the winds of change, things getting swept up, which we already started to feel in September. And you might have already started to work through this. If you have, amazing. You're going to really see this emphasized this month if you are not working to figure out if that karmic energy is done. Okay. And something that came through actually in a session today with a client that I want to add in here that can really help with this is notice the difference in energy. Okay. So when something is for you, when something is in alignment, there should be a smoothness to that, more flow. Sometimes like something is locking into place really easily or falling into place. If something is not for you anymore, it's not in alignment, you're going to notice this because you might have to apply more pressure to it, more force. You might have to try to almost manipulate the energy to make it work, kind of like putting a square in a circle. You will notice when it doesn't feel true and right. Another way you can think about it is if things keep showing up with that piece, this is often an indicator that something is not working there. And so sit back this month, look at your relationships, look at the karmic relationships that are showing up, because for a lot of us, a lot of these karmic relationships are done. They are complete. And then it becomes asking yourself, am I willing to release this? Am I willing to let this go? Because that becomes such an important piece when you're holding on to these things that are not in alignment and not on your path. That's where the universe actually has to start hitting you with the 2x4, the universal 2x4. We know what that feels like. Often that's the rock bottom piece. And it's not that when that happens, it wasn't meant to be. I still believe that when we get to rock bottoms, there's a purpose to it all. And that was part of the path. And that maybe you need to be shown that lesson in a deeper, bigger way. But this is where you can practice some free will, right? This is where if you're sitting with these pieces and you're noticing that something is in alignment, and then you're kind of getting clear with yourself, am I okay with letting this go? Can I let this go? Am I willing to release this? That is where the winds of change are going to carry you with greater flow and ease and less fight and struggle. Okay, this is a big one, and it's not just for you to be thinking about individually in your life, but also collectively, which always is the same, right? Anything showing up collectively will then show up individually for you. Anything that's individual will often be a collective experience we're having in some way. So that's important to remember. Shock is going to be another energy theme this month. And I don't want to scare you. This isn't necessarily like you're going to be shocked, like super scared, but when you notice how shock feels in your system, like, oof, like sometimes it's like abrupt or it's like a jolt. The reason why shock will show up this month is to wake you up. Okay. So you're going to be shown that feeling, or you're going to be given that experience of shock in different ways this month to wake you up. Again, this is not just individually, this is collectively, because we are being woken up in greater ways, in greater capacities, in greater numbers, more and more and more right now, as the collective energy is meant to be shifting. So shock. And one thing that I really want you to sit with here, when that shock shows up, grounding into your body, grounding into your energy, anchoring, right? Trying to kind of bring more baseline to the nervous system, and then starting to ask yourself, what is real here? Okay. And sometimes we get shocked, and it's important for us to then look closer at the piece that has shocked us and ask, is that real? Is something not authentic here? Is something not real? And it will ask you to then tap into the body to see how that feels. The other piece you can be asking yourself when the shock shows up is, what am I not seeing? What have I not been seeing? And how might this be here to wake me up? Now, again, this can be shown collectively, really paying attention to social media, really paying attention to what you're being shown, and really checking in with your body. Does this feel real in the body? Does this make sense? Not in the mind, but in the body, like noticing the clarity and the energy there. And if this is being shown up for you individually in relationship, you're being asked to look at something closer in the relationship, and the shock shows up as something you're not seeing, or a way that maybe you are not telling yourself the truth, or a way that you are putting your blinders on, maybe because that feels safer. Pay attention to that shock this month. Okay, another theme this month is observing, and that there will be an energy of mystery. Okay, and so observing is going to be your best friend when it comes to the mystere that shows up this month. And of course, it's October. It is witchy season. It is all the good stuff, right? This is the month. This is the witches month. This is one of my favorite months. But the cool thing about October is that the veil is so much thinner. And what that means is we're able to actually see with greater clarity. And when I say see, often the mind's eye, see, feel in the heart, we can have greater clarity when the veil is thinner. But what's important this month is it doesn't mean things are going to be so crystal clear that you're meant to make decisions or take action. It's that the veil is thin so you can see things with greater clarity. But what's important in this is to still observe, to notice, right? To get curious with what you are seeing. And this really actually adds to that shock piece. Because the veil is thinner, you're going to be able to see things with greater clarity. But the add-on here is to get curious with what you are being shown, to observe, to notice, to sense, how does that feel in your body, to notice how are other people reacting to this piece, right? And especially with the collective energy and things that might be shown on social media, when there are these big things that show up that everybody has a reaction to, my go-to is actually to back up and look at the reactions and look at in some ways how sometimes things are meant to be very divisive, like split us up, create sides, force people to take a side or to stand into something where there will then be more fear or fighting or division. And so that's more of a collective piece here, is because the veil is thinner, use that to your advantage and get curious with what you are able to see with greater clarity. Doesn't mean to take action or maybe to make a decision. It's just being observant and putting I like to say, being a detective of the energy, paying attention to what is showing up. Again, because the veil is thinner, we're able to see more. And so get curious with what you are able to see more of. Okay, this is actually a lighter, more exciting one compared to some of the heavier pieces. Another energy theme this month is the energy is going to be rich, okay? And what I was shown by the records is this is a beautiful month for manifestation. This is a beautiful month for you to deepen into your soul desires, your visions, what it is that you want for yourself, how you want to feel. And this can also be helpful because the veil is thinner, because we're able to tap into greater awareness, greater clarity. This is a great month for you to be working with your soul, to be connecting into your soul, to be working with what you are desiring on a deeper level, not here, right? And getting clear on that energy. And when they said the energy is rich this month, some of the words that came through were like velvety, smooth, rich, full-bodied. It almost reminds me of like a cacao or like a really rich, full-bodied cup of coffee. And that is the energy we're going for when we're working with manifesting. And so make this maybe even a ritual for yourself this month, right? We've got Halloween, we've got a full moon, we've got a new moon. Sit with the energy of the moon. And I will say this too, if you want to get to know the moon more, this is something we're actually going to be working through in Empowered Awakening. The beautiful thing about the program is that we will be working with the moon as a way for you to deepen into your connection with yourself, your intuition, spirit, your cycles, building deeper self-trust. So if wanting to learn how to work with the moon has been something you've always wanted to do, this is one of the core foundations in my Empowered Awakening program, just as a little side piece there. But work with the energy this month. It's going to be rich. It's going to be full-bodied. It's going to feel velvety and smooth in this area of manifestation. Work with the veil being thinner, having greater clarity, being able to tap into more of your visions. If you're having really vivid dreams, work with the energy of your dreams, okay? Figure out what's showing up and what you're supposed to be seeing on a deeper level.
Hello, my friends. I want to take a moment to interrupt this episode so I can fill you in on how you can work with me if you're needing deeper support. I am so excited to announce I have recently launched Empowered Awakening, a 12-month intimate mentorship circle for the woman who is awakening and longs for more, for the woman who is ready to embody her truth, reclaim her power, and deepen into her soul's highest expression. I created this offering with so much love and care and a deep trust that the woman who knows it's for her will know and will trust this knowing. We start on October 21st. Doors are now open for enrollment. Message me directly for more information. I also offer my one-to-one deep dive soul coaching for the woman who's ready to go deep and move through anything and everything blocking you from receiving what it is you truly desire in your life. My soul coaching is so near and dear to my heart. Truly, it's the first thing I ever began offering my clients, because the signature process I use to support you in these sessions is first one that I had to learn within myself on my own journey, and it has brought me such deeper clarity, healing, and freedom. Lastly, I offer my one-to-one readings with your choice of an Akashic Records soul reading or an intuitive guidance session with Spirit. These intimate sessions are designed to help you receive deeper clarity on big pieces in your life. My soul readings are a deep dive into your soul journey where you can receive information around karmic lessons, your soul purpose, past lives, your soul contracts. And my intuitive guidance sessions with Spirit allow you to connect deeper with your spirit team for information with more current pieces on your path. It's such an honor to support you deeper on your journey. You can find all of my offerings and freebies at my website, www.rootsoflovecoaching.ca. And to reach me directly, email me or message me on my Instagram at christina.soulempowered. Now let's get back to this juicy episode.
Let's talk about some practices that can help support you in the themes. And then after this, I'm going to do a little channeled card pull for you. One of the most important practices that you can be doing is creating structure in your day. And right away, some of you might not like that if you're more tapped into your feminine energy, but it's really important to have both show up each day, the masculine energy and the feminine energy. This is how we create greater balance and flow in our systems, in our days, in our lives. And so, also paying attention to, because there were these themes of scattered energy as well as winds of change, having structure to anchor that energy will be really important. So asking yourself, what kind of structure can I be embedding into my day that allows me to actually tap more into my feminine, my intuition, my creativity, my visions and dreams and my feelings, right? If we don't have structure for all of that, then it just becomes chaos. And so beginning to get curious with, how can I bring in some of that masculine energy, some of that structure in my day to create a container for my feminine energy? We need both, right? And I always give the example of, if you were to go into a dark room, right? The dark can be thought of the feminine. The dark can be thought of sometimes our emotions or our deeper subconscious, or even the darkness, like tapping into visions and ideas and clarity and not really knowing where that is. And you might look around and be feeling for the walls. And that's where, when we have structure, when we're working in this space and with the feminine energy, that's where that structure can help the feminine energy breathe, and it can create safety, and it can create an anchor for our ideas and our visions and exploring our feelings. The next practice that will be really important, and this kind of ties into the last one, is feeling. You have to create space to allow yourself to feel. And especially when we look at the karmic piece, that there will be a lot of karmic contracts showing up this month that already started to show up in September and will continue on until the end of the year, because there's a mass clearing going on right now, a mass clearing of what is not in alignment to create space for you to expand. And so if you are not spending time feeling, because karmic energy, you need to be able to feel and process and alchemize that karmic energy in order to clear it. And in order for you to clear some of these contracts and release them, you have to be able to feel and allow the emotions to show up, whether it's sadness, anger, grief, resent, all of these harder, stickier emotions. When we have a process around feeling them, it allows for the expansion process to feel so much safer. And fear as well, right? If we don't know how to feel our emotions, especially fear, it stays stuck in us, and that's where we stay stuck in life. And I will say this, if this is something that interests you, coming up next week on Wednesday, October 8th at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I will be hosting a free masterclass, Fear to Freedom. And this masterclass is very much designed to help you learn how to work with your fear in order to safely expand on your journey, on your path, which is the awakening journey, right? In order to awaken and expand, fear is the human experience that goes with expansion. And so knowing how to work with your fear is so important. The final piece is writing pieces down. And this doesn't mean you have to actually write it down. Maybe this looks like keeping a notes piece in your phone. I have so many notes, it is crazy. Writing it down, putting it somewhere. Okay, and it's funny because my Mary Magdalene picture just fell out. It's almost like she's speaking to us. We have to put our words somewhere. She represents our throat chakra, communication, how we relate to the world, how we express ourselves. And so it is so important for you to be taking all of these ideas, visions, dreams, nudges, triggers, feelings that you're working through, emotions, fears, and putting them somewhere. Because if you don't, they stay here. Okay, and they block us, or we stay here and we stay stuck. And so writing everything down, and that's actually going to help you make greater sense of that scattered feeling of everything showing up, of trying to keep the papers contained. Writing it down helps create structure, right? It helps the chaos channel. And that's what we want to be doing on the path, is we want to give it somewhere to go, because that allows us to experience greater clarity. Let's pull some cards here. So again, like this month, it's big energy, right? Now that I really feel into some of the pieces that came up there, the scattered feeling, winds of change, karmic contracts clearing, shock. Wow, there are some actually really big themes here. The piece of mystery and observing and getting curious, as well as the rich, smooth energy of your manifestations that are going to want to show up. The energy might feel wild, it might feel messy, and so it's really important, again, having those practices to ground you, to help anchor the energy. And I will say this, if you're curious around my free masterclass, you can go to the link in my bio and you can sign up for that and register. Even if you can't make it live, I'm still recommending registering for it, because I will be sending a replay out to every person who registers, whether they can make it or not. So even if you can't make it, you'll want to receive that recording. Okay. Oh, one more there. Okay. Let's see the cards that want to come through. Oof. Well, this makes sense. The first card that came up, acceptance. And this actually feels very tied to the theme of, you know, when we think about the theme of the scattered energy, as well as the winds of change, but also, of course, the karmic clearing of the contracts. One, accepting that the energy is going to feel a little bit more chaotic. So can you ground into that? Can you anchor into that? Can you have practices that help support you in that? But also, like, where do you need to accept more that some of these relationships are done? They're complete. They're done. Because when we don't accept something, when we're holding on to something, one, we get stuck within ourselves and in our lives. And two, we're not allowing ourselves to expand into the next space. Red very much represents the root chakra, new beginnings, a new foundation. And you're really being asked by spirit and your soul on your path this month to be okay with, to accept that things need to be released in order for you to expand into where you're going next, into the energy you're starting to embody that actually really showed up starting of September. And so how can you practice greater acceptance this month of what is and what you're ready to release? It's so funny. This card, impartiality, really reminds me of where they were talking about observing, getting curious, especially even the shock value too. It's really important that when you notice that shock show up this month, stepping back is going to create space. And when we create space, we can actually make a more informed decision or action based off of that space. And it's not that you have to necessarily make decisions or take action this month, but even just creating the space allows you to tap into greater neutrality so that you can observe in a more unbiased way. Because when we're triggered, when we're in a place of projecting, or when we're attached to something, we actually can't find neutrality, and it's harder for us to tap into and feel the truth. And so neutrality, how can you create space? How can you back up this month? How can you observe and just be curious with what's showing up? I will also say too that gray represents the crown chakra. And so when we get to this place, we're able to be in more neutrality. We're able to see things with greater awareness. We're able to tap into a higher understanding. And that's what this card is really asking you to do. The final card, dissipating. Okay, yellow represents our solar plexus. It represents our center of will, of choice, of action, of power. Okay, also paying attention to if we're taking action or we're trying to have power from a place of ego, or if we're taking action and we're embodying power from a place of soul. Okay, dissipating is all about, are you sitting and watching things happen in your life in a way that's quite passive or submissive, right? There's a difference between sitting and watching and observing and trying to find the neutrality of a piece, but there's the other one where you're sitting and watching and you're being complacent. Are you scared? Are you fearful? What's the resistance that's showing up in being the bystander in your life, and how can you become the driver, right? Dissipating is you looking at your life, and this really connects to the theme of tapping into the visions and what you want to manifest this month, because the veil is thinner. Are you going to just sit and watch it, or are you ready to step into and embody what it is that you desire? Are you ready to allow yourself to dream and envision and tap into what are the things that I really want for myself? And am I willing to move through, right? Here's this feelings piece, the emotions. Am I willing to move through the emotions that keep me stuck in where I've always been? Because you're not supposed to be stuck there. You're ready to be moving, expanding, and embodying new energy. Okay, my friends, that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed that energy forecast. As a quick reminder, if you're wanting deeper support, of course, you can check out all of the different offerings that I have. Empowered Awakening starts October 22nd. It is a Wednesday. It is going to be the first call that we have. I am now enrolling. We only have 4 spots left. So if this is a program where you're ready to go all in, you are ready to step into your expansion on this journey, but experience a deep foundation and anchor in that, this program is for you. And if you're curious around my free masterclass, check out the link in bio. It is free. Even if you can't make it, I will send you the replay. I hope you have a beautiful day. Let me know if this helped. And I'm always here if you have any questions. Happy October.